Our top focus story is the situation along the line of control. After an Indian Army soldier was mutilated at the line of control, India launched punitive fire assaults on Pakistan Army all along the line of control. And at 6 p.m. today, 1800 hours, Pakistan's Director General of Military Operations activated the hotline and sought an interview with the Indian Director General of Military Operations. He spoke to General Ranbir Singh, and the two spoke of de-escalating the situation along the line of control. India, of course, has regretted loss of life on the Pakistani side, but India has also made it very clear ceasefire violations are unacceptable. What Pakistan Army and terrorists did at the line of control in the Machil sector, mutilating the body of an Indian soldier, that's completely unacceptable. India said if Pakistan does that, India will punish Pakistan. I want to quickly bring in India Today's defense correspondent Jugal Purohit. He joins us with the latest on this conversation. Jugal, take us through the details. At 1800 hours, the Pakistan DGMO spoke to General Ranbir Singh. Take us through details of conversation.
Well, Gaurav, before we go on to the details, it is extremely important the context. This is for the first time after the surgical strikes that the two DGMOs are speaking. We have regular weekly interactions on Tuesday where lower-level officers like colonels and brigadiers speak, but this is for the first time after surgical strikes that the DGMO of Pakistan Army had requested for time from his Indian counterpart, which was given. Of course, as you said, the Pakistani side first highlighted the civilian deaths on account of the firing in a bus which took place in the Neelam Valley, which India regretted, but said that India's position is very clear. We are targeting those areas from where we are being hit, from the areas where there's firing and ceasefire violation, which is taking place on the Indian side. The Indian DGMO has also spoken about the fact that the mutilation took place and has made it very clear that as long as these ceasefire violations and such nefarious, that's the word which has been used, such nefarious activities take place, India has the full right and the full potential and the full capability to respond to Pakistani actions.
Jugal Purohit, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. Keep tracking that story. I will come back to you for more. But just because Pakistan's DGMO has spoken to his Indian counterpart does not mean all is well. Of course, since 1800 hours, since 6 p.m., there hasn't been any firing or shelling or any ceasefire violation along the line of control, because that, India said, was the first condition: stop firing, stop ceasefire violations. But intelligence agencies have told the government that Pakistan has been buying high-altitude clothing in large number. High-altitude clothing, high-altitude equipment is being purchased. Now, while the line of control is hot, on this side of Zojila, Kargil and Siachen are completely silent. They are peaceful. At the same time, despite higher reaches of Pir Panjal being covered in snow, there is apprehension that Pakistan could resort to terror tactics along the line of control. So which is this area that we're talking about? Now, if you look here, this is the line of control. It starts here. Now, from Jammu till this point near Naushera, near Akhnur, it is the international border. This is about 200 kilometers. Then from this red point, this is where the red line, we've marked the line of control in red all along Naushera, Rajouri, Poonch. This is the Jammu sector. Then this is the Pir Panjal ranges, which divide the Kashmir Valley from the Jammu area, Uri, Baramulla, and then beyond Baramulla is Kupwara, Keran. This is North Kashmir, and then you cross Zojila. Then you come into the Kargil sector, Dras, Kargil, Batalik, and from there then you go to subsector Hanif, and then it's the Siachen Glacier there. But this is the area that we're talking about. This area north of Pir Panjal gets snowed in. But the apprehension is that this year, Pakistan can resort to attacking India through this area. And I want to quickly cut across to India Today's Shujaul Haq, who joins us from the Machil sector. He is in North Kashmir near Kupwara. He joins us with the latest. Shuja, what are intelligence agencies saying? This purchase of high-altitude clothing, what's the motive? What's the game plan?
Well, Gaurav, if you look at it from this tactical point of view, there has always been this apprehension that there could be more bits, more men could be pushed from across the line of control. In fact, interestingly, today the government gave figures in the Rajya Sabha suggesting that this year there have been around 100 new militants who have managed to infiltrate from across the line of control. That is the process that keeps on continuing. In last more than 2 months since that Uri attack and the subsequent escalation took place on the line of control, there have been number of incidents where infiltration bids have been foiled by the Indian Army, and they have constantly been saying that more is coming.
Okay.
There are intelligence inputs that attempts are being made to ensure that more and more men are pushed across the line of control to increase the number of militants and give boost to the militant ranks which are working in the valley, and that's something that is worrying the entire establishment which is working in Jammu and Kashmir.
Keep tracking that story, Shuja. I will come back to you for more. Now, intelligence agencies, security agencies, the army, they're all saying the next 6 days are very crucial. Why are the next 6 days crucial? General Raheel Sharif, Pakistan Army Chief, he sees himself as the Napoleon Bonaparte of Pakistan. He's supposed to retire on the 29th of November. Will he retire on the 29th of November? He says he wants to, but there are analysts who say he wants to cling on to power, or he wants one of his men as the next chief of the army staff. So there is intense joking, and this current situation along the line of control is being seen as Pakistan creating this war hysteria, raising war clouds so that he can cling on to power. So what could happen over the next 6 days? There could be a very big terror attack. The trinity of terror, Hafiz Saeed, Jaish-e-Mohammed's Masood Azhar and Syed Salahuddin. The trinity of terror has been activated by Pakistan Army and ISI for an attack not just along the line of control, but in one of the big cities. There could also be a situation along the LC. India will be forced to respond, and Raheel Sharif could cling on to power. Let's take a look at why the next 6 days are so crucial. General Raheel Sharif, the more powerful of the two Sharifs ruling Pakistan. But as Pakistan's army chief begins his farewell visits, 6 days before his scheduled retirement, there is a sudden spike in tensions along the line of control. Pakistan Army is escalating tensions with repeated ceasefire violations. On Tuesday, Pakistan Army commandos and terrorists are learned to have mutilated the body of an Indian soldier.
पाकिस्तान की ये हरकत मैं नहीं समझता ये रुकेंगी, तो हमें नए तरीके सोचने पड़ेंगे. हमारे पास साधन है, हमारे पास कन्वेंशनल सुपीरियरिटी है पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ.
India has hit back and hard. 3 Pakistan Army soldiers, including an officer, Captain Taimur, were killed in Indian retaliation in the Kotli sector. General Raheel Sharif is desperately trying to cling on to power. The current tension along the line of control is a shot in the arm for the general's ambition to stay on as the army chief. Though officially he has said he will relinquish charge on the 29th of November, analysts say he wants to be asked to stay on. But this man, Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, is in no mood to oblige him. War clouds on the horizon would mean pressure on Nawaz Sharif to retain General Raheel Sharif. The next 6 days are extremely crucial. Top intelligence sources tell India Today, General Raheel Sharif has activated his terror machinery. A high-octane terror strike would compel India to hit back harder, and that will give Raheel Sharif the excuse to get a 3-year-long extension. Apart from the LoC, there is apprehension of a terror strike in big cities across the country, as these men, Raheel Sharif, Hafiz Saeed, Masood Azhar and Syed Salahuddin, gang up to bleed India. Bureau Report, India Today. So the next 6 days are extremely crucial. Not to say that should Raheel Sharif finally hang his spurs as he claims he will, the next man will be any better. So who are the next men? Who could be the next chief of Pakistan's army? Let's take a look at who that man could well be. Now, in the war room, let's first talk about Lieutenant General Zubair Hayat. Now, General Zubair Hayat is technically the senior most man. He is the chief of general staff. He is the senior most in this list. He's been the Director General of Strategic Plans Division. He's been a Corps Commander at Bahawalpur. He's worked closely with Nawaz Sharif and Finance Minister Ishaq Dar. Extremely hardworking. But what goes against him is that he's never served in any conflict zone. He also has very powerful military connections. He comes from a very powerful military family with siblings in the Pakistan Army. Who next? It's Lieutenant General Ishfaq Nadeem Ahmad. Let's tell you a little more about General Nadeem Ahmad. Now, he is the Corps Commander of Multan, appointed the Chief of General Staff and Director General of Military Operations. Earlier, he's contributed to the Zarb-e-Azb. And Zarb-e-Azb is something that Raheel Sharif claims is his biggest achievement. The war on terrorists in Waziristan. Was that war a success? Clearly not, given the fact that there's an attack that just took place in Quetta. And that is something that's hurting Raheel Sharif. He may claim to be Napoleon of Pakistan, but then India's surgical strike and the terror attack in Quetta have exposed Pakistan's hollow claims. Let's also now talk about General Iqbal Ramde. Why is General Iqbal Ramde so crucial at this point of time? Well, General Iqbal Ramde is the Bahawalpur Corps Commander, number 3 in the hierarchy. Now, he was the General Officer commanding during the SWAT operations. He was also hit by a sniper fire. So he's been bloodied in war, considered very brave, close to Nawaz Sharif. So that could work against him as far as Raheel Sharif is concerned, but Nawaz Sharif could be wanting him. Let's also now talk about Lieutenant General Qamar Bajwa. Why is General Qamar Bajwa so crucial in this entire scheme of things? Well, General Qamar Bajwa is Inspector General of Training and Evaluation at GHQ. He's been the Rawalpindi Corps Commander. Again, he's an infantry officer, Baloch Regiment. What's also crucial about him is that he's served extensively in other areas except in a lot of active combat. So this is what we know of who could some of the other generals be who want to be the next chief of Pakistan's army. What is surprising is there hasn't been an announcement just as yet. Just 6 days to go for Raheel Sharif to retire. Pakistan doesn't know who the next army chief could be. Of course, will Raheel Sharif get an extension? It remains to be seen. He's begun his farewell visits. But what's been happening along the line of control? After one of our soldiers was mutilated in the Machal sector yesterday, the Indian Army launched its biggest fire assault in the past decade plus. 2003 Ramzan ceasefire, the LC never opened up the way it did this morning. Of course, it didn't escalate to artillery. It was heavy mortars, it was rockets in direct firing mode, it was heavier caliber infantry support weapons that were used all along the line of control in Baramulla, in Poonch, in Rajouri, in Naushera, in Kale, in Tattapani. Pakistan has officially reported 3 military casualties. Let's take a look at India's befitting reply. Indian Army launched multiple fire assaults along the line of control after an Indian Army soldier was mutilated in the Machal sector on Tuesday. India hit back hard, launching a fierce offensive along the line of control. Using heavy mortars, India destroyed several Pakistani posts that had helped the infiltration, which led to the death of 3 soldiers in the Machal sector on Tuesday.
पाकिस्तान बौखलाए हुए हैं, तो वहाँ से जितना भी पाकिस्तान साइड से सीज फायर वायलेशन होता है उसका बड़ी जोरदार से हमारा बीएसएफ और भारतीय सेना के जवानों ने जवाब दिया है और दे रहे हैं, करेंगे.
As tension along the line of control and the international border escalated, India Today was the first television channel to report from the heart of the action.
On the line of control in Massil sector, the situation is very tense. You can see the additional troops are being sent to those areas where yesterday the border action team of Pakistan, helped by the terrorists, targeted Indian army, in which 3 Jawans got martyred and some are injured. So far, the firing was going on the line of control in Massil sector since yesterday, and the Pakistani army posts are being targeted and many of them had got destroyed in the firing by Indian army.
Facing the biggest fire assault along the line of control since 2003, Pakistan refused to relent. Pakistan Army initiated indiscriminate ceasefire violations from 9 in the morning along the LoC, targeting several Indian posts. As the hostilities rise, even the Gurez Valley witnessed ceasefire violations, perhaps for the first time in the past 6 years.
For the first time in 6 years, there has been a ceasefire violation in Gurez sector. Locals were really panicked because of the kind of mortar shells that landed up in the civilian areas of Gurez. Similar reports are coming in from across the line of control.
And as India mounts the offensive, chorus for retribution is growing.
सरकार इस मामले में गंभीर नहीं है और ढुलमुल रवैया है। मैं समझती हूँ ठीक नहीं है। प्रधानमंत्री जी को मीडिया के सामने आकर तो उसके बारे में कुछ बोलना चाहिए।
Late in the evening, Pakistan conceded it lost 3 soldiers, including a captain of the Pakistan Army, in Indian shelling. With Indian and Pakistani troops exchanging heavy fire, the tension is only expected to escalate. Bureau Report, India Today. In a departure from the past, India adopted a very aggressive stand at the line of control. Usually, if there's ceasefire violation by Pakistan, let's say, for example, if it happens in the Nowshera sector or the Rajouri sector or in Poonch, then the response is also either in the same sector or in adjoining sectors. What was different this time was the fact that though one of our soldiers was mutilated here, this is the Machil Kupwara sector. This is North Kashmir, Baramulla, and then you go ahead higher, you go to Kupwara. This is Kale across the line of control. Now, though this violation had taken place in this area, Indian Army opened up all across. Indian Army opened up in Nowshera, it opened up in Rajouri, in Bimbargali, in Poonch, in Uri Baramulla, it opened up in North Kashmir. What was the message that India was sending out? The message that India was sending out was very clear. In case Pakistan mutilates one of our soldiers, all over India will attack. And this is something that Pakistan clearly wasn't prepared for. The fact that at 6 p.m. their DGMO called up the Indian DGMO and sought de-escalation is because they couldn't have taken more punitive strikes. India clearly prepared for escalation. Ashwini Kumar joins me from the Jammu sector with the latest. And Ashwini, clear departure from India's earlier stance. This time, India made it very clear Pakistan should be more bothered about escalation and not India.
Yeah, Gaurav, it is clear that yesterday Machil sector, I said already that India had planned a big way, but it was not a Machil sector. It was for India. The line of control was activated early in the morning and Indian forces attacked the Pakistani areas and Pakistani number of posts were attacked. There are damage across the border. Their civilians were also hit by these shells and Pakistan has agreed that India was very offensive after the Machil sector. It was hit tit for tat because yesterday they did a operation against our soldiers in Machil sector and they responded today. By the Indian forces responded today, and that is the reason the DGMO called to Indian DGMO. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But there are two things which are extremely significant at this point of time. The ceasefire along the line of control is still holding. There has been no escalation. Artillery still hasn't opened up, though Pakistan claimed artillery had opened up, but that's not the case. Secondly, in the Kargil Siachen sector, it is still all quiet, peace is still holding. So the 2003 Ramzan ceasefire, it may be in tatters, but it's still not dead. And India has made it very clear, if Pakistan doesn't fire, India will not fire back. Pakistan may fire the first bullet, the last bullet, and for effect, will be fired by the Indian Army to keep India first. That is all that I have for you in this bulletin. Many thanks for watching.